Welcome in, folks. Glad to be here. Glad to have any of you here. And I just gotta say, folks, Nikki Haley, excuse me, Nikki Haley just needs to get out of this race because otherwise, it's just. I mean, I think she's really just trying to screw everything up by maybe trying to run under the no labels ticket, which anybody with a functioning brain would know that would screw everything up for the Republicans and therefore the country. We simply don't need another 4 years of essentially Obama. And I think that if Haley were to drop out and endorse Trump, which she should, that then the Democrats would have to maybe find somebody else to run in place of Biden. And another theory of mine, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised because she is the starter of the Take Down Monuments movement. If you don't remember a few years back, probably, when was that? I want to say 2015-ish. She's the one that took the Confederate flag off all the state government buildings in South Carolina. She's the one who took down the Jefferson Davis Memorial. And that is when this whole craze of taking down Confederate monuments, which ended up also translating into taking down monuments of founding fathers because they owned slaves, which back then everybody did. Years from now, people are going to be calling our generation imperfect. That's just how history works. But, and I've said this many times before on this program, if you try and erase history, it is doomed to repeat itself. Simple. Again, you don't have to be a Harvard-educated scholar to figure that out. Now, aside from the whole Nikki Haley, South Carolina thing, which it's no surprise that she lost, we also have some Fani Willis stuff to get to, as well as I have to pull up some other stuff here, as well as the Kansas City shooting suspects, which, again, you didn't figure out their identity until what, like 9 days after the fact. They tried to, turn it on other people, whatever. But yeah, well, it turns out they were black. And then we have this illegal immigrant who was released in New York City after being detained for I'm not sure what he did. I'm gonna have to pull that up. But he killed some Georgia girl after he was being released from New York. We have that here. We will get to that a little later. So, back to Nikki Haley and her wokeness. Excuse me, folks. It's time for a little drinky poo. As Clay Travis says, the only things in life that have never let me down are the First Amendment and boobs. And booze. Booze inside of boobs. What a good combination. Whiskey goes way better with Yoo-hoo than rum does. Note to self. Anyhow, okay, so Nikki Haley has basically lost 60-40 in her home state, which I don't see how that's a surprise. Again, being that South Carolina that she was governor of, South Carolina, a bunch of rednecks, whatever. They liked their Confederate flag. They liked the Confederate monuments. South Carolina, I believe, was the first state to secede. I could be wrong about that. I believe that at least that's where the Battle of Fort Sumter occurred in started actually 140 years to the day before I was born. So if you're trying to win a southern state, which she's not going to win any, she might win the only Republican primary states she might win. Who knows if they even have a Republican? I'm assuming they have to. Would be New York. She might win New York, maybe not. Donald Trump is the son of New York, and all the Republicans there will probably vote for him. California, but then I think, well, there's a lot of rednecks in Northern California, which are the majority of the Republicans in California. She probably won't win there either. The massholes in Massachusetts might vote for her. And I thought maybe the Northeast, New England states, whatever, but she couldn't even win New Hampshire, for crying out loud. So I don't know what her reason for staying in is, other than she wants to try and get more money. The Democrats are the ones giving her most of her money. It's fairly obvious. She's obviously not going to be a part of any Trump cabinet. As I may have mentioned on last week's show, she only got appointed by Trump because Trump was going to appoint McMaster, and McMaster said, no, I'd rather be governor of South Carolina. Can you get her out of the way? So he appointed her to be Secretary of State. You can fact check me if I'm wrong, but I believe I'm not. So that's basically where we stand. And then you have Super Tuesday, a bunch of states. I don't think she's going to win any of those. It's possible. It's possible. I mean, anything's possible. But essentially, Trump has won all the primaries to this date, all the caucuses, or caucus, if you want to say. As Rush Limbaugh used to call the Iowa caucus, the Hawkeye caucus. So there really is no place going forward with Nikki Haley to become the Republican nominee for president of the United States. Unless maybe she's banking on the fact that they throw Donald Trump in jail, which, I mean, I don't think they would do that. And even if they put an ankle monitor on him and he was stuck at Mar-a-Lago or Bedminster or whatever, I don't think it would make a difference. And besides, the election case, and this is where it's going to get real interesting, election interference case in Georgia should already be thrown out. But Brian Kemp is a cuckold, or cuck for short, that, I mean, he easily could make executive actions as the governor of the state of Georgia to just get rid of her. And she should be thrown in prison for lying under oath. Fani Willis, this is. Because there's new evidence that has come out that shows that she really lied under oath. But it's Fulton County. Mind you, Fulton County, believe it or not, I'm gonna have to pull this up so I get it right. But I believe Fulton County had something to do with Martin Luther King being thrown in jail. So let's pull this up here. Let's see, Martin Luther King Jr., Fulton County. Let's see here. No, it's going to be hard. Oh, yes, there we go. GeorgiaPublicBroadcasting.org. Weeks before the 1960 presidential election, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was arrested for participating in a lunch counter sit-in Atlanta and sentenced to 4 months of hard labor. Thanks to some back-channel moves made by the Kennedy campaign, King was released from prison. On Georgia Today, author Paul Kendrick explains how that changed party allegiances for black and white voters in the South for generations. Virginia, this is a transcript here. It's Georgia Today. I'm Virginia Prescott and Steve Fennessy. As the nation celebrates Black History Month, it's October 1960, just weeks before Election Day. Dr. King is arrested for taking part in a lunch counter sit-in at Rich's department store in Atlanta. He was then transferred to DeKalb County, sentenced, jailed, and then taken in the dead of night to a Georgia state prison. Thanks to some back-channel, even rogue moves by the Kennedy campaign, Dr. King was released. Martin Luther King Jr. says, I owe a debt of gratitude to Senator Kennedy and his family for this. I don't know the details of it, but naturally I'm very happy to know of Senator Kennedy's concern. Reporter says announced just the other day that a variety of stores in 112 southern cities would voluntarily integrate their lunch counters and cafeterias. I take it you do not feel this is sufficient progress. King Jr. represents real progress, but isn't enough. Anyhow, so Fulton County, again, Dixiecrat, whatever, if it weren't for Kennedy finding this out, Martin Luther King probably would have died in prison. But the Democrats don't want you to know this. Even though Kennedy was a Democrat, that may have had something to do with his assassination. Because the Democrats back then were extremely racist, as many of you know. The Dixiecrats, George Wallace and the like. And now the Democrats are still extremely racist, except against white people as opposed to black people. They haven't changed. They're just like, and they try and keep the black folks down with their Section 8 housing, the welfare state created by Lyndon Johnson, and X, Y, and Z. A lot of people also don't want you to know that, well, Malcolm X was killed by a black person, not a white person. They don't want you to know that, folks. They don't, because it doesn't fit their narrative. So moving forward, in Fulton County, DA Fani Willis going up against Donald Trump, or Fani, but as I said in the previous show, I'm always going to call her Fani. And the reason this is taking place on a Saturday is I wanted to make sure that it's a primary day. So I wanted to make sure we had the results, which we all knew was going to be a Trump win. But Nikki Haley is an election denier, folks, as is Stacey Abrams. And I wonder, folks, and this has crossed my mind, if Nikki Haley maybe, think about it, folks. Think about this. This might be the Democrats' best hope. They can't. Kamala Harris is a walking disaster with her word salads and her this, that, and the other thing. She's just incompetent to do anything. She's probably more incompetent than Joe Biden, which I don't know if any of you have seen this, but I'll repost it on X or Twitter. At Real Ray Smiley, by the way, is the handle. Italian TV, I guess it was their equivalent of SNL, Saturday Night Live, for those of you living in Rio Linda, has posted this thing about Joe Biden walking off the stage, whatever. He can't remember any names, and then he hits the nuclear button with his dementia and blows up the entire world, which is kind of scary, but might be kind of accurate. So, but anyhow, back to Haley. She could, in theory, because the Democrats, they'd have a hard time ousting Joe and not putting Kamala Harris or some woman of color up to the pedestal. However, Nikki Haley may classify as a woman of color, and she would definitely get more votes than Kamala Harris or Biden. And I don't think Michelle Obama wants to run, but there is an ongoing consensus that might be the thing. I just don't see it. I sure hope not. I mean, even if it's Haley versus Trump, we're screwed. But I'll still take woke Nikki Haley over Kamala Harris or Michelle Obama. I think that's the best outcome for the country, is that she just leaves the Republican Party, becomes the Democrat nominee, and that's that. Unless, and this is, and I heard this on the Clay Travis Buck Sexton show, the best political talk show on air in its time slot. In the other time slot, it's Sean Hannity, but they're not in the same time slot, so it doesn't really matter. Tulsi Gabbard was on and said she would totally be open to being Trump's VP. Now, remember, Tulsi Gabbard was a Democrat for a long time. If Trump picks Tulsi Gabbard as his running mate, they'd have to cheat like never before to win an election. The Democrats would. I do not see any way that ticket could lose. And I think that's Trump's best option to guarantee a win. You know, Kristi Noem, she's too far right for most suburban women. Tim Scott, he's too nice. Although I like them both very much. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, again, too far right. Many of these people are just too far right. A centrist is what Trump needs, because that's essentially what Trump is. Trump is not a hardcore Republican as the Democrats would like to put him out. His MAGA movement is what makes America great, is the combining of two ideas to meet on common ground. And we haven't had that in years. The Democrats have been increasingly more radical. The Republicans have become either increasingly more Democrat or increasingly more far right. We're not a united party anymore. So, again, that's where we sit right now. So we've gone over the Fani Willis thing and the... Oh, no, we haven't. We have to get back into the Fani Willis thing. So this is why she should be charged with perjury and thrown in prison. So she had said, this is New York Post, Nathan Wade's phone has been tracked to District Attorney Fani Willis' home late night in 2021, well before the pair claimed they were a couple, according to a new bombshell court filing by attorneys for Donald Trump in his Georgia election fraud case. On 35 occasions, Wade was in the vicinity of the condo Willis was subleasing from a friend in Hapeville, Georgia, for an extended period of time, in quotes, between April 1st, 2021 and November 30th, 2021, according to Charles Middlesalt, an investigator hired by Trump team. Many of those visits before Wade was hired by Willis to be a special prosecutor of the Trump case in November 2021 and appear to contradict testimony last week when she claimed that he had been at the condo no more than 10 times before he was hired. Whoops. The duo have told the court they didn't strike up a romantic relationship until the spring of 2022 and broke up around a year later. However, in the lead up to Willis hiring Wade, and also in the month after he signed his first contract with her office, he appeared to visit the condo twice in the middle of the night, according to Middlestead, who analyzed mountains of cell phone and geolocation data from Wade's number. Now, let's go back a little bit. How Willis said, "Oh no, we were just close friends. We were just close friends, right?" Okay, let's continue. Then on November 29th, 2021, Wade called Willis at 11:32 p.m. before arriving in the area of her condo after midnight and remaining there until 4:05 a.m., Middlestead alleged. Well, it's not really alleging if it's an actual phone record. Now, I'm sorry. I don't think people who are just friends happen to show up at that time. especially considering that Wade was married at the time, probably after his wife went to sleep. I mean, they said they had been separated for a while, but who knows? No, I don't think. I think there was a little bit of this going on, That's typically what people do between the hours of 12 and 4 a.m. when they're sneaking out. The investigator also claimed, based on data he collected, Wade and Willis made over 2,000 voice calls with each other and exchanged just under 12,000 interactions. I guess those appear to be text messages over the 11-month period in 2021. Trump and many of his co-defendants have been seeking to boot embattled Fulton County, Georgia DA from the case and to get criminal charges against them tossed based on allegations that Willis improperly hired Wade, who they say was her boyfriend at the time, and financially benefited from his lucrative contracts with her office when he treated her vacations in Bahamas, Aruba, and Napa Valley, California. The pair were forced to testify in a 2-day hearing last week, where they both firmly maintained they didn't strike up a romance until the spring of 2022, and they roughly split the cost of their vacations, with Wade buying them on his credit card and Willis paying him back in cash. Well, even that, again, folks, you see, I don't even think that really happened. They always said that this is a black thing, whatever, the cash, that's what her dad said, all that. Her dad's extremely racist, by the way. Now, when you get down to the meat and potatoes of this, the simple fact that she is lying about all this, and not only that, but she paid him $600,000 a year? The president, and that's government money. She wasn't paid, of course, not out of her pocket. She doesn't have that much money. But that's government money. The president of the United States only makes $400,000 a year. So she did this all to her benefit. Of course, she couldn't prosecute Trump herself. So she hired her paramour, I guess. I don't know if that really counts because, I guess he was married, but going through a divorce, so they say. But he's not. That kind of money, she hired him for that, just for that kind of money to go back into her pocket and benefit her. Very simple, folks. It's like I always tell government employees, like teachers and so forth, you don't pay taxes. They say, yeah, we do. It's taken out of our paycheck. Yes, but you don't pay taxes. It's the taxpayer that pays the taxes. The private sector employees, government employees don't pay taxes because they are paid by taxpayers' money. It's basically their taxes are just going back into their paycheck. It's like the water cycle. It comes up, the water comes up, it goes into the sky, it rains, but it never really leaves Earth. It's just transformed in form. That's all it is with government employees. So she's using government money by her discretion to pay her boyfriend, who she's banging, and who knows, maybe still is banging. Why not? They've already been caught. And then hires him to go after Donald Trump. As Clay Travis said, there is like 4 billion other men on this world. She could have banged every damn one of them. But this guy, any other dude, she picks this guy, and guess what? She got caught with her proverbial dick in a light socket. And as far as I'm concerned, if Brian Kemp wasn't a cuck loser, he would prosecute her, throw her ass in jail, but he still has a hard-on for prosecuting Trump. He's a rhino, and, hell, maybe if Trump picked him for VP, his hard-on would go away. But I think Trump will win Georgia handily. I hope, unless they're rigging it. And now, for the other thing, we have the Kansas City shooting here. I promised I would get into that, so we're running low on time. Family of second Kansas City, this is New York Post again. Family of second Kansas City shooting suspect also starts GoFundMe for medical bills. Not to be racist, but only self-righteous black people do this. The family of the second suspect charged with the murder of the Kansas City shooting parade appears to have set up 2 fundraisers to pay his medical bills just a day after it was revealed that the gunman's other family tried to do the same. Dominic Miller, 18, who allegedly fired a gun that killed the mother of the 2 Kansas City suspects at the Super Bowl celebration last week, saw about $85 donated for his medical expenses in a since-deleted GoFundMe page started by his older sister, Haley Scott. This is a report from the Daily Mail. The page claimed times will be tough for Miller after he was struck during that chaotic gunfight that ensued when a group he was with took issue with the other accused gunman, Lindell Mays, staring at them. I don't know, this sounds retarded. Now, let me pause for a second, folks. Remember they said that the 2 shooters were underage teenagers and they couldn't release names? Are there other ones involved? Because let's remember, Kyle Rittenhouse, within hours of that incident, he was only 17. He was plastered all over the place. It's only because they're black they won't release the names. Now, I said this last week, and I've said it many times before. Not the type of person to say I told you so, but I told you so. This country has gone to hell. It doesn't matter what your race or color is. If you are a mass shooter, you should be plastered all over the news immediately. And Kyle Rittenhouse was defending himself. But Whitey shooting Antifa, not cool. The page on Classville, along with another GoFundMe page, Miller's mother, Jamie Batteries, allegedly started another fundraiser on Classville to help visit him in the hospital. The page on Classville, crowdfunding site meant to help teachers, describes Miller as a Kansas City Chiefs victim, 18 years old, fighting for his life. No, you're not a victim if you cause the problem and you shoot a bunch of people. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. Donald Trent, Miller's grandfather, told the Mail that his grandson was recovering from surgery after being shot in the abdomen. Miller's family could not be immediately released for comment. Go figure. GoFundMe and Classville did not immediately respond to the post's request for comment. The fundraiser for Miller, but I guarantee you, if there were white people that did this and they tried to do that, GoFundMe would not have even allowed a page to be made. Fundraisers for Miller come just a day after the GoFundMe page for Mays, the other shooter, 23, was deleted as his mother, Tennille Burnside, asked people to help her son through a tragic time. Getting shot multiple times at a time was meant to bring so much joy to so many has brought pain and sadness to it all attending. The now deleted fundraiser said the fundraiser had reportedly made $100 for Mays' medical bills before it was taken down. Both Mays and Miller were charged with second-degree murder as well as 2 counts of armed criminal action and unlawful use as a weapon. Now, hold on a second, folks. Hold on. $100. Do you think the only people, I would bet the only people that donated this were members of Black Lives Matter or Antifa? Maybe Kamala Harris? I don't know. I don't know. I do not know. Now, to the last thing we have going on here. Joe Biden's open border has claimed yet another life. The suspect charged in connection to the murder of a 22-year-old Georgia nursing student has been confirmed as an illegal immigrant originally from Venezuela. Oh, what a surprise. Fox News Digital has learned. This is from Fox News, by the way. 26-year-old Jose Antonio Ibarra, the suspect charged in the murder of nursing student Laken Riley on the University of Georgia campus, is a Venezuelan national who crossed illegally into El Paso, Texas. Geez, I wonder if this is where Biden had them taking down the razor wire. Oh, no, it was in September of 2022. And was released into the U.S. via parole. 3 ICE and DHS sources told Fox News. ICE does not currently have an official comment on the situation. Ibarra was taken into custody by UGA police on Fridays, University of Georgia, by the way. He measures 5'3", little short, little brown guy, and weighs 170 pounds. Oh, so he's pretty pudgy because I'm like, 6 foot and I weigh 200 per the clock. So he's very well fed. I mean, he's pretty well fed. If you're that big, I don't think you're starving and fleeing to a better country. I'm just going to say that. Lakin measured 5'4", so she was even taller than him, weighing 115 pounds, aka not fat, according to a UGA police department. Police have charged Ibarra with malice murder, felony murder, aggravated battery, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, kidnapping, hindering a 911 call, and concealing the death of another. UGA Police Chief Jeffrey L. Clark said in an interview this Friday evening. Ibarra appeared in court Saturday morning, where Clark County Magistrate Judge Jordan denied his bond for today. Is Clark County a liberal county? I'm not sure. Riley, an Augusta University nursing student, was found dead Thursday after previously attending UGA before entering a nursing program in Augusta's Athens campus, where she made the dean's list. See, these illegals are killing our finest. This woman would be one of the people taking care of your parents. Any Democrats watching this? But whatever, you don't care. You just want the Democrats. They just want more votes. That's why California counts illegals in the damn census because so many people have left. That they lost one electoral vote. Oh God, no, we got to count illegals. And okay, all governors, don't send them to California. Don't send them all to California because they count them. Although I don't know if the federal census does that. We got to get the Supreme Court involved in that, folks. Because that's how they're going to try and rig elections. Illegals to get their seats back. Police initially swept up 3 to 4 people in the early stages of the investigation, but were only arresting and charging Ibarra, Clark said. Police were asking anyone who saw anything relevant or suspicious between 7 a.m. to call whatever. That's where they found Riley with visible injuries within 30 minutes after they received a call from a concerned friend who said she went out for a run and didn't come back. According to the incident reported on Fox News Digital, multiple officers began searching for Riley near the Intramural Fields around 12:07 p.m. At 12:38, UGA police officer spotted her on the ground. I called out to Riley, did not get a response, the officer wrote. She had visible injuries and police could not locate a pulse. They began CPR. A sergeant arrived with a defibrillator minutes later and unsuccessfully attempted to revive the victim. Autopsy results remain pending Friday, but authorities say they're investigating death as a homicide. Clark said it appears though she had been killed by blunt force trauma. Classes and events at both universities were canceled Friday. Yesterday, the DOJ charged Ibarra's brother, Diego, with having a fake, fraudulent green card. This is a breaking news story. Now, I wonder if the guy raped her. He probably did. He probably stuck his dirty foreskin in there. How gross, folks. So, you want to fix the problem? You want to get rid of this crap? Trump needs to be re-elected. It's the only way this is going to be fixed. Oh, anybody but Biden. But it has to be Trump. The wall needs to be finished. Deport every one of these pigs. And save our country. And save the world. Because World War III is knocking at our door. Good luck, folks. Hopefully I'll see you next week. Cheers.